سلام بچه‌ها، حالتون چطوره؟ امیدوارم هر جایی که هستید اونها خوش و خندون باشید. امروز اومدم با یه ویدیوی بسیار هیجان انگیز و عجیب غریب. حتما تا الان کارتون جادوگر و فیلم جادوگر رو دیدید که یه زن زشت کیره یه دونه خال گنده رو دماغش داره، سوار یه جارو شده، میچرخه، همه رو جادو میکنه. حالا اگر بهتون بگم که توی عصر جدید جادوگرایی هستن که خب با یه شکل ظاهری خیلی عادی دارن بینمون زندگی میکنن، چه فکری میکنی؟ توی ویدیوهای امروز قراره با همدیگه مصاحبه با یه زن جادوگر رو ببینیم که ادعا میکنه که نسل در نسل جادوگر بودن و خب یه چیزی توی دی ان ایشون بوده و نسل به نسل بهشون به ارث رسیده. خیلی حرفای عجیب غریب و جالبی میزنه. بهتون پیشنهاد میکنم که تا آخر ویدیو حتما با من همراه باشید. زیاد حرفو کشش نمیدم، بریم سراغ ویدیوی امروزمون.
Thank you for being here.
Michael, thank you so much for having me here today.
You're the first person I'm talking to who would have called herself a witch. And so for some people who might accept, okay, there's a spiritual realm and maybe there's something to, the vibes and the psychic powers and whatever. I think even for those people, to hear that witchcraft is real, that's going to be a bridge too far. But you say it's real.
It is real, and I say to people, you can take what you want from me, but you cannot take my testimony and what I lived. And witchcraft was part of my life for generations.
همونجوری که میبینید
5
ظاهرش
generations.
یه
My
ظاهر
great grandmother,
نرماله
my
و
grandmother,
اصلا
my mother,
شباهتی به
myself,
جادوگر
and
نداره.
he ended in me because of the consequences that, throughout generations. I realized this
حرفای
has to
خیلی
end
جالبی
in me.
قراره
I don't
زده
want my
بشه.
generations, I don't want my children to be involved in this. So I'm talking from my own experience. This is not something that I learned in a book or in a movie. This is something that was in my family.
4 generations, that means that your great grandmother
میگه نسل به نسل به ما به ارث رسیده.
She was a medium, she was a psychic, she was the healer, so she used to move like in different
مدیوم بوده.
and she was the one that introduced all of us into witchcraft. But something interesting is that we never call ourselves witches. We never said, oh, we are witches, we are moving it. No, because it was part of our DNA. So we didn't have to say to people, we are doing witchcraft or we are witches, because we grow up like
میگه
that.
که این بخشی از دی ان ای ما بوده، یعنی که نیازی نبود مثلا به مردم بگیم ما جادوگریم.
Were you conscious of it being witchcraft at the time and you just didn't tell people, or you weren't even
I didn't. When I became Christian, that's when I
یه چیز دیگه
realized.
هم که هست، میگه که چون از بچگی خب باهاش آشنا بودن و توش بودن، برشون یه چیز عادی بوده و زمانی میفهمه که این جادوگری غیر عادیه که مسیحی میشه. خب قبلش مسیحی نبوده، خب هیچ دینی و قبول نداشته.
Wait a minute, I was doing witchcraft. My family was doing witchcraft, and I didn't share my testimony for like 12 years. I just shared my testimony. I started to share my testimony last year because first of all, I was scared of my background. I was ashamed that, that my father died because of witchcraft.
میگه که پدرم به خاطر اینکه من جادوگر بودم یا ما خانوادگی جادوگر بودیم، ببینید زنای خانواده جادوگر بودن نه مرداشون، میگه پدرم به خاطر این موضوع جون خودش رو از دست داده. حالا ببینیم چرا.
Just stop kind of like hiding that part of me, and until I realized actually that we were actually deep involved in witchcraft, like my whole family.
This might be a sore subject, so don't feel the need to go too in depth if you don't want to, but how did your father die from witchcraft?
So that's part of my testimony and how witchcraft ends in me. We grow up with a lot of witchcraft. towards the end of my father dying, we got involved in black witchcraft, which is the witchcraft that you use to harm people, to control. Witchcraft in general is control and manipulation. But towards that year, we were just involved in witchcraft because my mother got connected to a friend that was a black witch. So someone that was in black witchcraft. And she started to train me. She saw me and she said, you know, your daughter has a gift. And we did a ritual and they consecrated me to one of the 3 Venezuelan powers, which is a principality, it's a demon of high rank. And he became my spirit guide. He became kind of like my...
داستان از این قرار بوده که مادر این خانوم که خودش هم جادوگر بوده با یه جادوگر سیاه پوستی که جادوی سیاه داشته. ببینید 2 نوع جادوگر انگار وجود داره، یه جادوگر سفیده، یه جادوگر سیاه. این دوست مادرش یه جادوگر سیاه بوده که نیروهای سیاهی و شیطانی داشته. میاد با مادر این صحبت میکنه و میگه دختر تو یک قدرتی داره و یک نعمتیه که خداوند بهش داده و ما میتونیم اونو آموزشش بدیم و تقویتش بکنیم. از این راه وارد خانواده اینا میشه و اینا چیکار میکنن؟ توی خونه جمع میشن با هم دیگه، شروع میکنن یه سری آموزشایی رو به این دختر دادن که خب جادوگر قوی تری بشه و قدرت بیشتری داشته باشه که در ادامه این اتفاق میفته.
And I used to go to him for rituals if I needed something. So I started to learn when he was in a room, smell his presence, feel his presence. And also I started to get super depressed, suicidal, because also the spiritual...
میگه خیلی خودکشی میکردم، افسرده بوده.
So the things that you have to do increase in power. So these demons will ask you for maybe do sacrifices or do something deeper. Blood is part of that. So I didn't realize that through me cutting myself, right, I was making a covenant with this demon because the blood is powerful for initiation of covenants. So I didn't realize
میگه
that
شیطان خون میخواسته و برای قدرتمند شدن یه سری چیزا رو باید فدا کنیم.
With him.
So you were harming yourself, but not in a conscious way, saying this is part of the witchcraft ritual. You were just doing it because you were depressed.
At first, it was part of the ritual, but after that, I just became suicidal. I ended up in the hospital. I tried to...
بچه اول که با اون شیطان عهد بسته برای اینکه قوی تر بشه خون خودش رو ریخته، خب به خاطر خونی که شیطان میخواسته در مرحله اول، ولی بعدش دچار یه سری افسردگی و اضطراب و حال بد و این داستانا شده به خاطر کاری که داشته میکرده و بارها و بارها خودکشی کرده.
So tormented. And that was when we did a ritual in the entrance of the house with all the witches.
اینجا همون جاییه که تو خونه با جادوگرا مراسم برگزار کردن.
demon came and the main witch, she just got possessed and she started to speak these words. And this witch looked at my mom and told my mom, like, someone in your family is going to die in 1 week. So I looked at my mom and I told her, I don't want to know because I was so suicidal that I didn't want to know. My mom started to cry and this demon started to ask my mom, do you want to know who it is? Do you want to know who it is? And I looked at my mom started to cry and I was like, let's close please. So we closed and 1 week later, so by this point I was living with this witch. My mom called us at like 4 in the morning, 4 or 5. And she said, you have to come home quick. So when I went home, my mom was outside completely shocked, crying with my 2-year-old brother. And I was looking for my dad. So I was calling him like dad. I entered the house. And when I entered the house, I felt this heavy atmosphere. It's like someone put a cloth on me and I couldn't even walk. So when I went to the room, I couldn't find my dad. So I ran outside and I have the feeling to check next to the storage that we had close to the house. And when I pushed, my dad committed suicide.
بچه‌ها خیلی واضح صحبت کرد که اینا یک مراسمی رو برگزار کردن. توی این مراسم یک جادوی سیاهی بوده و یه سری پورتالا باز شده و یه سری شیاطین وارد خونه شدن که توی همون مراسم شیطان توی جلد یکی از جادوگرا رفته و به مادرش گفته که قراره یکی از خانواده شما توی این هفته بمیره. دخترشون خودکشی زیاد کرده بوده، فکر میکرده که خودشه، ولی در واقع توی همون هفته پدرش خودکشی میکنه.
And when I saw him, for me, that was the moment where my whole existence just collapsed. My whole family got ruined, and we realized that. So the witch that was training me in black witchcraft, the person that my mom was friend with, she basically was kind of like, she came with a mission. She came not only to train me and to, but also she came to destroy my family. And in fact,
همون دوسته رو میگه، میخواسته خانواده‌اش رو نابود بکنه.
she stopped speaking to my mom. So my mom realized, like, wow. And my mom had also a friend in Colombia that she used to be a white witch. And she told my mom, be careful with her because she's not coming with good intentions. She's going to destroy your family. And also when she tried to astral project to my house, she said, I cannot enter your
شیطان
house because there
خودش
is
رو
a black
فرستاده بوده
cloth.
توی
There is someone of
خونه
her rank
اینا.
taking over your house. You are in danger. But my mom thought, you know what, she's been crazy. She just being territorial. So
وقتی که
she stopped
پدرشون
talking to
مرده
her. So when
تازه
my dad
فهمیدن که
died,
چه
this witch
بلایی
knew
به
because she
سرشون
saw it
اومده.
in the spirit. So she called my mom and my mom cried and she said, yes, he died yesterday, this and this happened. And she told her, cut all communication with this witch, and that's what we did. But my mom realized straight away that our family got destroyed because of witchcraft. I didn't realize just yet because I had trauma, I had anger, I hated my mom, so I was blaming her. So I continued to do witchcraft. I left my mom, I went to live alone. I was 18, I became alcoholic, drinking, more suicidal. But my mom, she repented because she knew witchcraft killed my husband. We did this, we gave up authority to these demons. We did something that we weren't supposed to do.
میگه در واقع خودمون این بلا رو سر خودمون آوردیم با اون مراسمی که انجام دادن و جادوگری که داشتن میکردن.
The witchcraft narrative is just a way to explain the natural events that took place in your family.
I always come back.
یارو چون همیشه یه سری دلایل علمی وجود داره و میگه که شاید به خاطر افسردگی بوده که پدرت مثلا خودکشی کرده، شاید به خاطر این بوده و زنه در جواب اینو بهش میگه که به نظر من منطقیه.
The experience that we had when we were doing the ritual at the entrance. The demon came and the demon released a war over my house, saying someone in your family is going to die in 1 week. In fact, after 1 week,
Right.
my dad died. So my dad wasn't in that ritual. He didn't even know that we were doing that, right? So that for me is like the perfect example of like these things are real. We didn't make this up. There was a curse release over my house, a demon. We opened a portal because when you do rituals at the entrance of the house, you're welcoming everything possible to enter in your house.
That it was your great-grandmother who got you all involved in this. How did she fall into witchcraft?
I mean, I believe it was coming even before her, because when I was born, she was already 70 years. She died in 2019. She accepted Jesus and all of the stuff. She repented. But we believe that it was coming even before her, that there was like her family trying to raise her, because she grew up doing that. She was like the witch in her village. She was the shaman. She was the psychic. She was...
بچه‌ها این قدرتی که دارن و خب همونجور که گفته از 4-5 نسل قبلش اومده، ولی خب سوال شده بود که خب اون 5 نسل قبل یه همچین قدرتی رو از کجا آورده و میگه که شاید از قبل اون هم به ارث برده و خب مادر بزرگش مدیوم بوده و توی روستا یا حالا دهکده خودشون خیلی معروف بوده و ولی از جادوی سفید استفاده میکرده و برای کمک به مردم بوده.
She used to heal people too. So she was like a big person in her village, which make us think that it was coming even before that. We say 4 or 5, and who knows, maybe like it was even more than that.
This could have been going back centuries.
Exactly.
For all you know.
Yeah.
Do you have evidence, though, that there are people in governments around the world that are actually doing this stuff? Or is it just your intuition?
No, I know that. And even in my country.
اینجاش خیلی باحال اصلا و عجیبه، به خاطر اینکه میگه فکر میکنی که افراد بزرگی، یعنی افرادی که برای کشور دارن تصمیم میگیرن، خودشون هم جادوگر باشن یا مراسم شیطانی انجام بدن. خیلی جواب جالبی میده.
In Colombia now, last year before the elections, when I was praying for the new president and all of that, like I found out that the president, in fact, the one that's president now, before the elections, he went to a tribe in Colombia and he got a ritual done. And the vice president
رئیس جمهوری که انتخاب شده بود برای کشورشو میگه مراسم شیطانی انجام داده.
I was thinking it, and then it was all over the news. You saw the rituals that they were doing. This is my point. It's not hiding. It's everywhere, and it's not hide. They are just doing it. So you know, like the enemy is not hiding anymore. The enemy is
شیطان دیگه قایم نمیشه، داره آشکار کار میکنه.
Recently we saw this concert at Travis Scott.
Yeah.
That was a huge ritual.
But that ritual, I mean, the stage looked like something out of Hieronymus Bosch.
That was a portal.
Because it looked like a devil's mouth or something, and people were so that wasn't just a coincidence. Because they tried to poo-poo all the criticism, and they said no, it was just provocative.
من بگم این کنسرت هایی که داره برگزار میشه یه سری مراسم شیطانیه که یک پورتالایی رو وا میکنه و احضار دارن میزنن و از انرژی مردم دارن استفاده میکنن بدون اینکه خبر داشته باشن. توی کنسرت ها شرکت میکنن، در واقع دارن توی یک مراسم شیطانی شرکت میکنن. بگید نه، بیا.
Imagery, but
no, the people that people like me, that we come from that, we knew that was a whole ritual right there, because I believe he got the power through Satanism and through this type of things. So for him to go to the next level, you have to do something. You have to do some sort of sacrifice. That was a huge thing right there that he did. The platform was a portal. The things the sounds that they were playing when that was happening, they are really low sounds that open in the spiritual realm portals of death and portals for these demons to enter. So what was happening there, it was a sacrifice, a human sacrifice.
Because people died at this concert.
دقیقاً اون کنسرت تراویس اسکاتو میده که یه عالم آدم توش مردن، نمیدونم دقیقاً چقدر. اونا قربانی اون مراسم بودن در واقع.
People that don't know anything about the spiritual realm, they don't believe in God, in nothing, they said, we felt that something was putting our soul out of us. They felt that there was a weird atmosphere. So it's really interesting that even people that are not spiritual, they were saying it felt like something was pulling us out. We felt suffocated, we couldn't breathe. And I'm like, because you were part of a ritual. In fact, the people that didn't die probably now were cursed and have open portals in their life because they were part of something.
Green skin, they don't necessarily.
کسایی که نمردنم یه سری پورتالا توی زندگیشون باز شده که خبر ندارن، اصلا نمیدونن. 1000 تا بدبختی و به سرشون میاد، بعد میگن از کجا اومده. خب رفتی توی مراسم شیطانی شرکت کردی.
They have big, warty, scaly noses. They don't necessarily fly around on broomsticks. I don't know, maybe they do. So what is the day-to-day
جادوگرای عصر جدید
look like for a witch? What's the fact from fiction?
I can tell you from my experience what we were doing. We weren't running around in broomsticks or doing those type of things. But for us, it was normal. Waking up every day, set up some candles and cleansings for the house, doing some also cleansings on ourselves, preparing for the day, and just taking with us all the protections, the crystals, these type of things, reading tarot cards. That's kind of like our day-to-day look like. And then when we were outside, as I said, we never said to anyone like we are witches, we are doing this. We would just walk around and be normal people.
And worship the moon. This is something that comes up in that's
بچه‌ها یه سری آیین دارن اینا که در طول روز باید انجام بدن. مثل جادوگرایی که توی داستاناشون بدن زشت و بدریخت و سوار یه جارو نمیچرخن توی شهر و کارهای عجیب و غریب بکنن. یه سری آیین دارن، از صبح پا میشن پاکسازی میکنن، شمع روشن میکنن، یه سری کریستال همراه خودشون دارن و این چیزا رو داره توضیح میده. و الان هم ازش سوال شده بود که آیا شما یه مراسم‌های شیطانی انجام میدید برای همین کاری که دارید؟ ببینید چه جواب عجیبی میده.
Especially during Halloween, there is like a certain connection with the moon. There is certain connection with stars, with the blue moon, with the red moon, with all of those things that they believe that it opens up in the spiritual realm. So something important to understand is that there are principles for the spiritual realm. As I was saying, with the blood, with the sacrifices, it might look like, oh, this is ancient, this is weird coming from a book, but this is a spiritual principles, and this happens, and this is happening today. This is the Satanists, they are doing it because they understand that there is something. So they go out, they do rituals when there's full moon.
تو ماه کامل مراسم رو برگزار میکنن.
Just go outside and maybe like dancing around because they believe. And this is why I believe as Christians we need to step into the power and the fullness that the Lord is giving us.
They thought they were doing good. It was white witchcraft, right?
در واقع خانم یک جادوگر سفید بوده که یه جورایی میشه گفت به قول خودمون توبه کرده و تبدیل به یک مسیحی شده.
Right? So they thought that was healing and helpful, and they would feel spirits and things, but they thought it was all nice and good and comforting and protecting and all the rest of it. So now you're saying much the same thing. You're saying still have a spiritual sense. I feel comforted and protected. I think I'm doing good. So how do you know that you're on the right track now when you were mistaken about being on the right track before?
کجا میدونی الان تو مسیر درستی هستی
For me it's clearly obvious. When I was involved in that, I was depressed, I was suicidal, we were involved in drugs, we had addictions, we were having nightmares.
میگه وقتی جادوگر بودم یه خصوصیات رو داشتم.
Now using my life, now the Lord has completely restored me and my family, not only me.
خب الان که ندارم مشخصه که تو مسیر درستی هستم.
We don't have addictions, we don't know involved in drugs, I'm not depressed, I'm not suicidal, I don't have those type of nightmares, I don't have sleep paralysis, I don't have that.
You've had that too, sleep paralysis?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was everything. It was that season that it was so strong that it was just almost impossible to be in that house to the point that after my dad died, after a few
در
days,
واقع وقتی که تو اون خونه بوده این اتفاقا براش افتاده. اون خونه با اون مراسم شیطانی که انجام دادن کلن یه جورایی سیاه شده، سنگین شده و دیگه اون خونه رو ترک کرده بعد از اون.
We packed a few things and we left that house because of the atmosphere that was in that house, the dreams, the nightmares that we were having. I will see my dad passing by thinking my dad is here when he was in reality a demon passing by. My mom tells me that I almost tried to commit suicide in the same place where my dad died. I don't remember, I have flashes, but I believe I was probably possessed at that point. That house was the atmosphere there was heavy. And after a few days, my mom said like, let's run from here. And we just got a few clothes and left that house.
Did you sell it? I mean,
No.
You literally just left?
We still have that house. So my mom, the only thing that she knew by then was Catholicism. So she talked to a priest. The priest went with holy water or something, did some prayers, but then it didn't work. When she came back again, there was the atmosphere. She says that the house was still really heavy, the atmosphere there. And after we became Christians, then she just went over with some pastors. They prayed, they anointed the house, they break the curse. We still have that house, and people live in there, and they haven't felt anything.
So you were able to go back then?
I haven't. I have only been there once.
Wow. Very poor, uninfluential people, all the way up to some of the most.
بچه بعد از اینکه از اون خونه اومدن بیرون 2 بار اون خونه رو پاکسازی کردن، کشیش آوردن، دعا خوندن و بعد انگار اون درا و پورتال‌های شیطانی بسته شده و شیطان از اون خونه بیرون رفته که تونستن اجارش بدن و آدمای دیگه اون تو زندگی بکنن.
History of the world. They're not laughing at it.
Exactly. And you know something curious that I realized? Those that don't believe in the spiritual realm or they are laughing about what is going on, when you look at their family, those are the ones that are more bind in their family. Those are the ones that have maybe the depression.
کسایی که به قلمرو معنوی اعتقادی ندارن، یعنی فکر کنن این چیزا وجود نداره، درگیرن.
Struggling in those areas. And you realize people are so blind. The Bible says that the scales of the eyes fell, right? There's people that have scales in their eyes and stop them from actually see. When their scales are removed, they actually realize, oh, this was in front of me the whole time. This is real. Okay, how can I restore my family? How can I bring this to my family? How can I bring Jesus to my family to receive salvation?
Julie, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
بچه‌ها همه چیز کاملا واضح بود و کامل راجع به جادوگری صحبت کرد. البته این یه ویدئوی تقریبا 2 ساعته بود و من قسمت‌های مهمش رو برای شما گذاشتم، قسمت‌هایی که میتونست جالب باشه و اطلاعات بیشتری رو در اختیارتون بذاره. پس اگر ویدیو خوشتون اومد یادتون باشه که همین الان لایک بکنید، سابسکرایب رو فراموش نکنید. برای کسایی که زبان گوشیشون فارسیه اون قسمت که زده مشترک شوید رو بزنید، زنگوله کنارش رو فعال کنید که هر وقت ویدیو گذاشتم براتون نوتیفیکیشن بیاد. پیج اینستاگرام براتون میذارم این بالا، اگه دوست داشتین اونجا منو فالو داشته باشید. و مثل همیشه امیدوارم که شاد باشید و لبتون خندون. خدا نگهدار.